Traveling with medications in 2026 requires more forethought than in years past, as what was once a simple matter of tossing pill bottles into a carry-on has now become a common reason for delays, questioning, or being stopped at airport checkpoints, especially for those unfamiliar with current protocols. And here's a reality that many travelers discover the hard way. While the TSA hasn't officially tightened medication rules, they have become noticeably stricter in how those rules are enforced, a distinction that is crucial because each week, travelers miss flights not because they're carrying prohibited substances but because they packed their legal prescriptions improperly, declared them incorrectly, or assumed the guidelines were intuitive when they aren't. So before getting into packing strategies, it's essential to understand what you're actually permitted to bring through airport security in 2026, as this is where confusion often begins and where most preventable mistakes occur, though the positive news is this. The TSA permits all FDA-approved prescription medications through security, whether in pill, liquid, cream, gel, injection, or medical supply form, and quantity is not a factor for prescription medications, with liquid prescriptions being fully exempt from the infamous TSA 311 liquids rule, an exemption that surprises many travelers because the rules for normal liquids are extremely strict, as under the standard 311 rule, liquids must be in containers of 3 4 ounces or less, all fitting inside one clear quart-sized bag with 1 bag per passenger, applying to everyday items like water, soup, toothpaste, shampoo, face cream, and even some food products. But here is the critical detail many people miss: prescription liquid medications and medically necessary non-prescription liquids are not part of that rule at all and should never be mixed inside your regular liquids bag. Instead, they must be removed from your luggage and declared directly to the TSA officer at the checkpoint, a single step that can mean the difference between a smooth screening and a full bag search, meaning that if you rely on liquid medications such as insulin, pre-filled injectable pens like Ozempic, or prescription creams for conditions like eczema or psoriasis, you are allowed to bring whatever amount you medically need for your trip, with the same exemption applying to ice packs and gel packs used to keep those medications at a safe temperature, and this is where many travelers breathe a sigh of relief and then immediately make their next mistake, because while TSA is very accommodating with medications, there is one category that catches people completely off guard and gets them into serious trouble. And we are going to talk about that next, the number one medication mistake that's getting travelers stopped cold, because up to this point, everything sounds reassuring. TSA allows prescription medications, liquid limits do not apply, medical devices are permitted, and syringes are allowed when paired with injectable medications. So why are travelers still getting stopped, delayed, and questioned at security in 2026? The answer lies in one exception that TSA does not bend on and people keep assuming is negotiable: medical marijuana and CBD products containing more than 0.3% THC are not allowed on planes, not in your carry-on, not in your checked luggage, and not even if you have a valid prescription. At the federal level, these products are still considered illegal for air travel, and TSA does not care what your state law says, what your doctor prescribed, or that you have flown with it before without an issue. And this is where travelers get burned. Someone flies 5 times with no problem, but on the 6th trip their bag gets pulled, because that is usually how it goes, as the one time you assume no one will check is the one time they do. Now, let us step back for a moment because not everything is restricted, as you can pack unlimited amounts of solid medications including common pills like acetaminophen, aspirin, and ibuprofen, and many over-the-counter liquid medications are also exempt from the 311 rule when they are medically necessary, including items like saline solution for contact lenses, cold and cough syrups, and medical creams such as hydrocortisone, antibiotic ointments, pain relief gels, and skin treatments. But here is another quiet change that surprises travelers in 2026. Liquid hand sanitizer is no longer treated as a special exception and must now be in a container of 3.4 ounces or smaller and placed inside your regular liquids bag. There was a time when large bottles were allowed, but that time is gone. Medical devices, on the other hand, remain permitted, with CPAP machines, insulin pumps, and similar equipment allowed through security, and syringes are also permitted when they are accompanied by injectable medication. So on paper, TSA appears reasonable, and in many ways they are, but none of that matters if you pack things the wrong way, because knowing what is allowed is only half the battle, as how you pack your medications is where most travelers create problems for themselves without realizing it, and that is exactly what we need to talk about next. Number 2. How packing medications the wrong way triggers unnecessary trouble, because technically, TSA rules say that pills and tablets do not have to be in their original prescription bottles, and that technicality is exactly where travelers get themselves into trouble, as yes, you can put pills into unlabeled containers or a weekly pill organizer, but just because you are allowed to do something does not mean you should, since unlabeled pills invite questions, questions invite delays, and delays can easily snowball into missed flights, which is why the safest move, especially in 2026, is to pack medications in their original labeled containers whenever possible. Even if TSA does not require it, the label instantly answers questions before they are asked, and this becomes even more important if you are traveling with controlled substances such as Adderall, Ambien, or Vyvanse, as different states have different prescription labeling laws and flying across state lines can complicate things fast. So keeping these medications in their original pharmacy-labeled containers is strongly recommended, and if you do decide to use a pill organizer, protect yourself by taking a clear photo of the original prescription bottle or keeping a copy with you, as it takes seconds and can save you a lot of explanation. Another mistake travelers make is packing just enough medication for the exact length of their trip, but flights get cancelled, connections get missed, and weather changes plans. So in 2026, flexibility matters, and you should always pack enough medication for your entire trip, plus an extra 5 to 7 days. If you need early refills, talk to your doctor or pharmacist well before your travel date, because waiting until the last minute is how people end up scrambling, and liquid medications require extra care, whether prescription or over-the-counter, so they should always stay in their original labeled containers to help TSA immediately identify them as medically necessary liquids instead of confusing them with restricted toiletries like shampoo or toothpaste. For additional protection, consider carrying a doctor's note and copies of your prescriptions, especially if you are traveling with controlled medications, and make sure the name on your prescription matches your passport exactly, as even small discrepancies can cause delays. If you rely on gel packs or ice packs to keep medications cool, here is another detail that matters. Ice packs are allowed when used for medication, even if they are partially thawed, but keeping them completely frozen helps you avoid additional screening. And at this point, everything sounds manageable if you are organized. But most travelers are not, and that is why how you organize and carry your medications through the airport matters just as much as what you bring, as that is where problems either disappear or multiply, leading to number 3. Where you pack your medications can decide the entire trip, because most travelers think the danger ends once they pack their medications correctly, but it does not, as where you pack them can determine whether you stay in control of your trip or lose access to essential medication at the worst possible moment. So here is the rule that experienced travelers live by in 2026. Never put medications in your checked luggage, never rely on your carry-on suitcase, and always keep medications in your personal item, the smaller bag that stays under the seat in front of you. A backpack, purse, or medical tote, the bag that never leaves your side, is essential because airlines are increasingly asking passengers to gate-check carry-on suitcases at boarding as overhead bins fill up fast, and if your medication is inside that suitcase, you are gambling with access to something you may urgently need, since once that bag is checked, you lose control, which is why every essential medication should live in your personal item, not your roller bag, and definitely not in checked luggage. Organization is what keeps TSA from digging through your things, and the smartest approach is to keep all medications and medical supplies separate from regular toiletries, with many experienced travelers using a dedicated clear bag, something as simple as a large zip-top bag, just for medications and medical supplies. Think of it as your medical kit, and inside that kit should be everything related to your health: prescription medications, over-the-counter medications, medical devices, syringes if required, documentation, and any cooling packs for temperature-sensitive medications, because using a clear bag is not about convenience but about visibility, as TSA officers can see what is inside without emptying your bag piece by piece, and this single habit dramatically reduces secondary screening. Now, when it comes to medications that must stay cold, such as insulin, injectable pens like Ozempic, or certain prescription creams, temperature control becomes critical, and an insulated travel case or small cooler with gel ice packs is the safest option. And remember, ice packs are allowed when used for medication, so at this stage, you might be thinking, okay, I have packed everything correctly, but what could still go wrong? The answer is the security checkpoint itself, because how you behave and what you say at TSA screening can either keep things smooth or slow everything down, and that is what we need to address next. Number 4, what to do and say at TSA so you do not get flagged, as this is the moment where many well-prepared travelers still slip up. You packed correctly, you organized everything, and then you say nothing at the checkpoint, hoping TSA will not notice, but that is a mistake. When you approach the security checkpoint with medications, you need to be proactive, as TSA officers are not mind readers and scanners only show shapes and densities, not intent. So first, arrive at the airport earlier than usual because security wait times can vary wildly depending on the airport, the time of day, and staffing. And when medications are involved, rushing is how mistakes happen. So as you approach the screening area, tell the TSA officer that you are carrying medical liquids or medical devices, and do not wait for them to ask. Pull out your medical kit and your regular 311 liquids bag and place both into a bin, because if medical liquids are buried inside your bag and scattered among toiletries, scanners are more likely to trigger alarms, and alarms mean manual searches. If you have internal medical devices such as pacemakers or external devices like insulin pumps, inform an officer before screening begins, as you usually do not need to remove medical devices but may receive additional screening or a brief pat-down to verify placement, which is routine, not a punishment, and trying to just walk through and see what happens is what causes delays. Now, here is something many travelers do not realize exists. TSA offers free tools that can prevent confusion before you even leave home, such as the My TSA app, which allows you to search items using the Can I Bring feature and save frequently checked items, while Ask TSA gives you direct access to TSA representatives through social media or phone, often responding within minutes during business hours. But the most powerful resource almost no one talks about is TSA Cares, a dedicated assistance program for travelers with medical conditions, disabilities, or even anxiety about screening. If you contact them at least 72 hours before your flight, they can arrange for a passenger support specialist to meet you at the checkpoint and guide you through the process, and you do not need a diagnosed condition to use it. Being nervous or wanting extra help is reason enough, as many travelers who use TSA Cares describe the experience as calm, respectful, and surprisingly helpful, though it just is not advertised very well. At this point, you might feel confident flying within the United States, but the moment you leave the country, everything changes, and that is where travelers make their most dangerous assumptions, leading to number 5. International travel, where legal medications become a real risk, as this is where even experienced travelers get caught off guard, because just because TSA allows your medication through U.S. airport security does not mean your destination country will, and this misunderstanding has serious consequences. Medication laws vary dramatically from one country to another, as some drugs that are common and legal in the United States are completely illegal elsewhere. For example, medications containing pseudoephedrine commonly found in cold medicines like Sudafed are illegal in countries such as Japan and Mexico. ADHD medications like Adderall are banned in many countries across the Middle East and parts of Asia, and sleep aids like Ambien are tightly controlled in places like Singapore, and this is not theoretical, as travelers are detained every year for carrying medications they assumed were harmless. Most countries also limit how much medication you can bring across their border, with a common rule being up to a 30-day supply for controlled medications and up to 90 days for non-controlled medications, and exceeding those limits can lead to confiscation, questioning, or worse, and here is the part that sounds dramatic but is painfully accurate. The one time you assume no one will check is the one time they will, and being detained overseas because of a medication mistake is not a situation you can talk your way out of easily, as language barriers, local laws, and strict enforcement leave very little room for explanation, which is why researching medication rules for every country you visit is non-negotiable, with the U.S. Embassy website for your destination being one of the most reliable places to start, and you must do this well before your trip, not the night before. Now, knowing the rules is important, but there are also a few strategic moves that can make traveling with medications dramatically smoother, both domestically and internationally, and these are not rules but survival tactics that can save you from a very bad travel day, leading to number 6, the small moves that quietly save you from big problems, because by now you understand the rules. What separates smooth travelers from stressed ones in 2026 is not knowledge but preparation, as one of the smartest moves you can make is asking your doctor for a short letter explaining your medical conditions and why specific medications are necessary, a letter that does not need to be detailed but simply needs to establish legitimacy, because if security or customs officers question you, that piece of paper can instantly lower suspicion. Another underrated tactic is asking your doctor or pharmacist for smaller labeled travel bottles, as instead of carrying a massive 3-month supply, they can often provide a smaller container with the same prescription label, making it easier to pack, easier to explain, and drawing far less attention. You should also create a detailed medication list including both brand and generic names, dosages, prescribing doctor information, and pharmacy contact details, keeping a physical copy in your medical kit and a digital copy on your phone, and if you are traveling internationally, translating this list into the local language can make a huge difference, as even a simple translation removes friction during inspections. And here is something travelers rarely think about: airline-specific changes, as airlines update policies quietly, so checking news related to the airline you are flying with can prevent surprises that have nothing to do with TSA but still affect your trip. At this point, the process should feel less overwhelming, because traveling with medications in 2026 does not have to be stressful, but only if you respect how unforgiving the system can be when mistakes are made, as everything you have learned leads to one simple principle: control your medication, control your trip, and ignore the rules and your trip controls you. All that remains now is pulling everything together, and there is one final message every traveler needs to hear before they fly, which is the truth without sugar-coating it: traveling with medication in 2026 is not dangerous, but traveling unprepared is, as TSA is not out to take your medication and airlines are not looking to ruin your trip, but the system is designed for travelers who follow rules precisely, not loosely, and the penalties for small mistakes are real. Delays, missed flights, confiscation, questioning, and unnecessary stress. If you take only a few things from this, remember these: know what medications are allowed and which ones are never negotiable, pack medications properly in labeled containers when possible, always keep them in your personal item and never in checked or gate-checked bags, declare medical liquids and devices before you are asked, and research international rules as seriously as you research flights and hotels. Do these things and traveling with medication becomes routine instead of risky, but ignore them and even a short domestic flight can turn into a long, expensive lesson. Before you go, there is one more thing worth doing. Create a simple checklist you can reuse every time you pack, as the same checklist that keeps you compliant when rules change is the one that saves you from forgetting something critical at home. And if you want to avoid other common airport mistakes that catch travelers off guard, that is exactly what this channel is built for. If this helped you, make sure to subscribe so you do not miss updates when rules change again, because they always do, and we will see you in the next video.